Hello, 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 all you total bosses out there. Welcome to the Total Boss Podcast, and I'm your host, Cristiano Green. I am a life and business coach working with gay men and women, but I'm also a writer, and I am about to be publishing my very first book. So this week's episode is all about why I decided to write a book and why I find that writing is one of my passions. So I feel like I've always felt like I was meant to write a book, and I knew at some point in my life that I was going to do so. And, for a long time, I really did not know necessarily what it was that I was going to write about or why I wanted to do it. But I just felt like there was something inside of me that really wanted to be an author. So for me, when I was able to leave my career in the corporate world and step further into my career as a coach and run my own business, I knew that there was going to be another way for me to inspire people from our community and people in general, right? And I knew that I had a story that maybe wasn't, a story that is crazy or this or that, but I knew that from what I had experienced in my life, that I could actually talk about it and share those experiences with other people so that they could get some benefit, some value, and hopefully help inspire them to make a change in their own life, because that is truly what I want to do and what I am doing and what I'm working towards is helping other gay men and women to really make changes in their life and business, change their identity so that they can change their story and then change their life. So what better way for me to be able to do that than write my book? Now, when I was starting to write my book, because my book is literally called Stepping Into Your Uniqueness, and it's basically a story of my life growing up as a gay man, the experiences I had, coming out as a child, throughout going out partying, meeting people, like getting caught up in this experience, going to the Amazon jungle and, taking plant medicine, things like that have really helped inspire and shape me. But what I learned from it and how I've been able to shape this life around and deal with all the past trauma that I've had to then create something for myself. So the journey of writing a book is actually probably a very, very healing experience because, we all go through so many different things in our own life, but we don't always sit down and actually really go into depth those experiences, right? We don't write about them. We don't talk about them. I mean, we do talk about them, but do we really sit there and go into super details of them? Because, when we have these stories that we tell ourselves in our head, they do shape our life, right? And sometimes these stories are necessarily not as accurate as reality is. So everything in life happens, but then there's a perception of it. And, we could have 20 people in one room seeing the same exact thing, but perceiving it exactly in a different way, because most people are going to shape their experiences from their past experiences. So if certain things have happened to you in your past, then that's going to shape how that experience was perceived for you in your present or in your future, right? And then you'll start to see that story that way and you'll take it a certain way and it'll become something for you and it'll mean something for you. And that could be good, that could be bad. It's how you choose to take it. And so when you actually go back and actually revisit those moments, you actually get a chance to see that some of the things that you thought really happened maybe didn't happen the way that you necessarily perceived them. And when we can see that, we can revisit those stories, we can change the story, and that can change how we see our life. That can change how we see ourselves. That can change how we see other people. And that's powerful. So being able to review your life, share it, like really sit down and go into detail of it, and actually get a chance to see how you feel about that experience now. Because again, something that happened to you when you were 8 years old, if you keep seeing that story in that same way and you're 35 years old, like I am now, that story could really have meant something to you that has changed something in your life, right? But now, if you look back on it from all of the experiences and all the growth that you've ever had, and you actually revisit that story that probably you maybe haven't touched on for 20, 30 years, right? You can then go, oh my God, that actually wasn't the way that it really was, even though that's how I saw it and took it from those experiences that I've had. And so being able to actually go back to that, for me, first of all, was healing. And it's something that I really recommend anyone, if you ever get the chance to do so, go back to your life, revisit, write down in detail certain things that happened and see how they can change, because not everything is what it seems. It is how we take it from the experiences that we are left with. So being able to do that and then share about those experiences, because, growing up as a gay man, there are lots of different things that happen, and, no person's path is ever going to be the same, but we can definitely share some similarities. Obviously every one of us at some point will have to come out, whether that is to ourselves, to other people, whatnot. We do have to go through that process, and that is a consistent thing that people do. So being able to talk about that experience for myself and to share that as well and put it down into super detail can obviously help someone else who's maybe struggling, who maybe has had issues in the past, or maybe has thought about it and is afraid to do so. And for me, knowing that, I've had difficult experiences in my life, some of them aren't fun to go back and revisit. Some of them aren't, exciting things that I just want to sit down and write about. So going into detail for some of these things was definitely a difficult point for me. But being able to share that actually allowed myself to be set free, but also allowed me to be able to add value to other people so that maybe my story can help someone else's story, shift around, improve, or just really navigate where they are, because, we all relate to other people by the stories that we hear from them. We all relate to other people by the experiences that they've had. And we can always look at someone else's life and see something that we know can be similar to how we are. So, talking about being bullied, probably almost every person in this world might have been bullied at some point. Whether it was severely done or just minimally done, people can really understand and relate to those experiences, right? Can everyone in this world come to terms with coming out of the closet? Not every single person will, but every single gay person really will understand that, right? So me sharing my experience of my own story of coming out should hopefully help someone else, or they can relate to it and go, maybe that was easier for them or not, or it could be even harder for them. And, the thing is that just understanding someone else's story will also help you probably understand more of your own, because it's taken me a long enough time to be able to get to a place where I could write it down and go into detail and focus myself to do so. But knowing that I gave myself the opportunity to do that at the time that it was right for me felt good. And, I know that this book is going to be meaningful to me, but also to a lot of other people. Also inspired me to really go deeper as well. And being able to talk about not only the experiences, but also the lessons that I've learned will actually really help me to navigate further into the future as to where I go next. Because I thought about it when I was writing, and I was like, what, I just want to keep writing. So I want to get to a place where I'm not going to ever stop writing, and maybe I just keep bringing out new books, and I become, an author who publishes multiple books. I see that for myself as well, and why not? Because if there is a will, there's a way, and if you've got a story and a message and a lesson to share, then you should try to do so, especially if it feels like it's your mission or your purpose to do so. And, I thought maybe at the beginning of the time when I started to write the book that it was going to be difficult. It was going to be hard. It was going to maybe be something where I might struggle. But once you start writing about stuff that which is probably the easiest things to write about is your own life, because it's your own life and your own story, it flowed. And, I thought maybe it's going to take me 6 months or a year. It could take however long. I didn't really know it at the beginning. But to be able to finish writing the book in about 3 months' time is quite a powerful experience, because, that means that I was able to flow a lot of the stuff because I knew my life. But then it's also now an experience where I'm going to be going into the editing process. So all of these stories that I've talked about, and there's probably, from off the top of my head, the stories of, like I said, me growing up, me being bullied, me having to come out, my experiences of, looking for love, finding love, and all the things that happen, good, bad, and ugly with that. I talk about my issues with drinking, alcohol, and how it was a, over 10-year problem, and how I was able to work through that and get to myself to a place of sobriety. I also talk about my working career and what it was like for me to go through into that as a younger man, where I also, again, didn't feel accepted by myself. So I always felt never good enough. And I was always on this path for, I need to be better, 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 I need to be better. But who did I need to be better than? Everybody else. Instead of focusing on trying to just improve my own life, I talk about myself where I've had all these struggles, and I went to Peru, and I had a spiritual experience where I did ayahuasca and other plant medicines, and how that really shifted and changed my life. I've talked a lot about how I believe plant medicine really did have an effect on me being able to heal from certain things that have happened in my life. And, that part of it is, a different probably story to many people there. But what I can say relates to is probably as a gay man, the need to kind of find a spiritual side of yourself. I think that's very important for people who have had to struggle with coming out or going through those experiences, to be able to actually go deeper into some of that stuff to share is something that I'm really glad that I was able to sit down and do, because, I cherish these moments, and I guess I've never sat down and really thought about them enough to really understand what it is about them that was special and what I actually did learn from them. So this, as much as was a book for someone else, it was also a book for me, And like I said, I'm going into the editing process now and really going through each part of it to really see how the story is going to flow. And that's an interesting thing to do, because again, you've written, 60 odd thousand words that I've gotten on there, to get to a place where now I'm going to be editing it and just now seeing how the story comes together. It's going to be interesting because, who knows what's in there that I may have tapped into that when I was in the flow. And I mean, who knows? Obviously, I know, but going through it again with a different set of eyes now is interesting, because you're going to have to be critiquing yourself, looking at it from different angles. Does this make sense? Does this flow? Does the message come across? Is this going to have the impact? What needs to be added? What needs to be changed? So again, it's a good process to go through, and I'm looking forward to really seeing how it unfolds. So yes, for me today, it's all about getting the motivation now to get this book published. Because, like I said, the editing process shouldn't take forever. I'm going to get a final edit from someone professional, because I'd like to really have someone else's feedback on that. And then after that, it's now about figuring out how I want to publish it. So, there's a couple of different options. You can try to get a book deal, which might take a long time, or you can go to certain places like self-publishing. You can try to do it all yourself, or you can go to a publishing house and pay them to be able to do that, and then distribute it still yourself. They can help with marketing, they can help with other things, but it's an interesting way as to what the next steps would be for me. So anyone out there who has ever published a book before or has edited a book before, I'd love to hear some feedback from you as to what you think are things I should be focusing on while I'm doing this process. Because, like I said, my aim is to have the book finished and published by October. So that gives me another 2 months from the time of this recording. And I'd like to really be able to say to myself that I got it out, and that I was able to have it not only as a Audible book, an ebook, but also want to get it published hardcover copy, because I think there's nothing better than having your own book and having it there as a hardcover copy, so that you can say, look, this is my book, right? and just seeing it in the flesh. It's all in the digital world at the moment, but to have it as a physical copy is something that's important to me as well. So I've got to figure out which is the best way, what's selling these days as well, because I know people have so many means of listening and reading to books. So it's about really just kind of being smart about what my next steps are. Like I said, I know it's going to be an Audible book version as well, and there's going to be like an ebook, and I'm going to get published. But like I said, what is the priority is really for me right now. So I'm on a journey of still learning more things so that when I do get it finalized and published and get it distributed, that it really goes to the places that it's going to have its most impact, because I know that it's not easy to get a published book out there and have it, do super well. But, I've got to try my best to see what's next for me so that I go on my own journey and I can release this book and feel proud about, one, the value, the effort, the story, the impact, but two, the fact that I was able to get it out there to my audience, which is obviously the LGBT plus community. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening today. Appreciate it. Again, if you've got any feedback, comments, feel free to share them in the comments below or reach out to me on social media. So it's Christiana Green on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. All right. I will speak with you all next episode and wish you all a wonderful day. Signing off. And always remember, you've got this and I've got you.